Hello everyone, Cindy Saddleman here with another exciting video here on Game Show Gumbo. And for those who didn't like the last two Robot Wars videos that I did, tough. We're doing a third.
Yeah.
And this time around, we're doing things in a little bit different sort of way. Because joining me once again, as always, is the Philippa Forrester to my Craig Charles. Hardcore dude.
Well, try to get out of this one, Smeghead.
I don't think Philippa Forrester said Smeghead in her entire life. Jane
I'm sure
Middlemiss
she.
maybe, but not Philippa Forrester.
What does it do? No.
It kills, it hurts, get used to it.
It kills, it hurts. Its killer hurts.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so the idea for this video is blatantly ripped off from Wrestle Talk. Me and Hardcore Dude are going to go through every single grand finalist in the original series, in the original Robot Wars, series 1 through 7, in 3 words or less.
Yep. And I know all the grand finalists of the first 7 UK series by heart. And series 8, 9, and 10 are not on my channel anymore, but they are available to watch on Mech Plus. But
Mm-hmm.
we're not counting any of them yet. So.
Nope. And I know there are 6 in each of those. However, that if I was to do that one, we would just go through them in order, and skip repeats because essentially almost every grand final had Apollo, Eruption, Carbide.
Yeah, 'cause there's a lot of repeat grand finalists, a lot of Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. But at least I had 3 separate winners for the 3 series, so that's always good.
Yeah, I always prefer when there's a separate champion for every series because
Mm-hmm.
like the show doesn't always isn't going to last forever, so you're just hoping each series has a new winner each time.
Yep. BattleBot suffers from it from the current iteration because we had 2 repeat champions.
Uh, yeah, I know Bite Force won 3-3 Giant Nuts. Uh, I think the rest are all new, but I know like Endgame has won a couple Golden Bolts, but I think that's about it. Or oh yeah, in the original series, like Biohazard, and Dissector, and whoever were multiple champions too.
Uh,
Yeah, Bite Force, the original version won the first series of the reboot, and then the
the
one with the vertical
third
spinner won. Yeah,
won the
something
third
like that.
series against Minotaur,
Yeah, and then it won again against Witch Doctor, I believe, the year after that.
which I'm
So
currently watching through on uh, Discovery Plus.
yeah,
All right,
sorry, I think I might have spoiled for those who haven't seen the full reboot yet.
that's fine.
Uh,
Anyway, here we go. We are going to go through every single grand finalist, 3 words or less, starting now. Roadblock.
Road closed ahead.
I forgot that was the tagline, or the,
Yeah,
the the sign that they used.
yep.
Proper early winner. Good solid bot. Knew what it was doing.
Yeah, it's definitely like as like the first series, like it's the perfect design for the early series. Just a big, oversized wedge that can just push bots around, and that's basically all you really needed for those early series. You didn't need a destructive weapon, just a really good, solid, reliable pusher.
Mm-hmm. Body hammer.
Cone of Doom, giant bronze cone.
Proof of concept. Because this was Team Cold Fusion's bot. And the way the internals worked was, I believe, what they used for Pussycat.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a similar design because both are very pyramid like when you have Pussycat up on
Mm-hmm.
its 4 wheels like that and the blades on top.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, Body Hammer is kind of like that. It's just a shame the hammer didn't actually work.
Yeah. Robot the Bruce.
I. No wait. Big Lexan Brick.
Prototype for success.
I'd say so.
Because this was George Francis's bot.
Yeah, and then really shows he started out with a big brick powered by two Sinclair C5 motors, and the next thing you know, he has a big CO2 powered monster that's just winning everything the next couple series.
Mm-hmm. Recyclops.
Recycled Flippy Boy.
Creative early work.
Yeah, because I actually it's an interesting design because the tongue comes out and then it flips upward, which it's like it's not every day you see a weapon that can do like two things at once, just like push out and then go forward like that. I really like that design.
And it was the first bot, I believe, to flip a house robot. It flipped over Matilda.
Yeah, because in the what the heck was that event? British Bulldog. They broke down, but then I guess Mortis just pushed Matilda right onto Recyclops' tongue and just flipped her right over. So yeah, so Recyclops, the original house robot killer.
Yep.
That's a foreword for it.
Cunning plan.
Mini me. Mini me wedge. I'm trying to think. What was the name of the wedge bot who won the original U.S. Robot Wars? I forget the name already, but it was built by the guy who now owns BattleBots now.
You're talking about the original U.S. Robot Wars from like '94.
Yeah, from '94. The original. It was a big wedge bot, but they won a couple series before Biohazard took them out.
I have here. That'll do. Because they couldn't get They couldn't get a batch of 30 heavyweight bots to do this, so they had one heat dedicated to lighter bots. And
yeah, I don't understand why this existed, because there was no way a featherweight was going to win this event at all.
It did win its heat, though, and it had a hand in something.
Yeah. And the robot was called La Machine, by the way. So
La Machine.
The three word for this for Cunning Plan is Mini La Machine.
Perfect.
And interesting fact, the builder Oliver Steeples would go on to build R2D2 he had a hand working on R2D2 and BB-8 for the Star Wars sequels.
Good work if you could get it.
Yeah, I think BB-8 was one of the highlights of the sequels, to be honest. I like how they were able to put it together and how they were able to get like this whole sphere, the head moving on a sphere. I thought that was really cool.
Tracy.
Just a bitch. That's literally what.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's better than mine. I had absolutely no chance.
I mean, it did all right. It did all right in the battle portions, but it broke down a lot.
Yeah.
And then it lost when it got stuck on a wedge.
It lost when it got stuck under Cunning Plan.
Oh yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
And apparently, this is one of the very few times where pinning your opponent equals loss for you. They lost by pinning their opponent.
Are you ready for Series 2?
Did we get all the Series 1 bots already?
Yeah,
we did.
Those were the 6 grand finalists.
Yep.
And now it's 4 a season. Because
Alrighty.
they figured out the format.
Yep. Grand Final, 4 bots in the Grand Final.
Yep. Panic Attack.
Strong, tough box.
I like it.
Yeah. It's a simple design, but like Kim Davies is a really good driver, and sometimes simple driving can lead or really good driving can lead a simple design to success. Mm, he showed that in
Hmm.
the series, this and the series that would follow.
And you actually got one of my words.
Mm,
Driving matters most.
yes.
And with Panic Attack, it almost didn't make it out of the gauntlet.
Yeah, it's interesting because it didn't win either of its gauntlets, and yet it still won the series.
Yeah.
Mortis probably could have won, but then the controversy happened behind the scenes, and they just weren't into it, and then they just did the job to Panic Attack.
Hmm. Yeah, because if they stayed the same, then oh god, could you imagine Napalm as a grand finalist?
Have actually have that replica of Napalm Rossetti's replicas put together on. I think it probably, like, looking back on it would have been funny if it had made it to the grand final. But yeah.
Cassius.
I think I might as well use the words now. House or no, I'll save it from. Um, do I want to use these words or should I save them for later? But
I don't mind
House,
repeats.
uh, House Robot Killer.
Revolutionized robot combat.
Yes,
The first
because
Shremek.
the first self-righting mechanism. They taking out House robots. They took out Matilda. Apparently, they took out Shunt, which they
Hmm.
didn't show in that Wizard match. But yeah, this was one of the big ones.
Yep.
Rex Garrod, God bless his soul.
Yep.
He really made a great robot, and definitely iconic because I know a lot of flippers today use the flip up like Chaos 2 uses, but
Hmm.
there are still some who still use the Cassius design.
Yep. Roadblock.
We already said it. Um, uh, noisy but effective, because this was the season where they had that horn that alarm that was
Hmm.
going off. Yep.
Still good robot.
Yeah.
Killertron.
Orange bot good. They ditched the pink and they switched to orange.
I remember the pink. I put pink as cosmic.
You ever heard the AC/DC song "Sink the Pink"?
No, I haven't.
It's a good song. It was during the '80s, but yeah, it's funny. But the story behind this one was they were supposed to get pink, but they got the wrong color, so they painted it orange. And
Oops.
it's astonishingly, it's like it wasn't as effective in Series One, and then you see the axe in Series Two, and it's literally going right through bots like nothing. It
Hmm.
was crazy powerful.
Still early in when it got into series because it skipped series 3 because of scheduling issues, couldn't make it,
Yeah.
and then it got into series 4 unseeded.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, they keep saying like it was a grand finalist in Series One, which no, it wasn't. And then in Series Four, it says it took third in Series Two, and it's like, no, it didn't. It took fourth because it lost to Roadblock.
I think it's also because they wanted to distance themselves from Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, here we go. Now BattleBots start not BattleBots. Robot Wars starts to get proper.
Yep.
Series 3. Chaos 2.
Series Three. Agent of Chaos.
I like it.
This was where the big flipper boys came in and just absolutely wreaked havoc, flipping robots. And since this was back when robots didn't have self-writers, it pretty much beat everybody just by flipping their opponents over.
Perfected the flipper.
Yes.
Hypnodisc.
Mad Mod's favorite.
Destructive first outing.
Yep.
Because you know what happened with it. Robogeddon was the first opponent, and
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you armor your robot in aluminum foil.
yeah.
Just look, because you notice with a lot of the opponents, like Stealth was made out of road signs,
Mm-hmm.
and Robogeddon was made out of some kind of aluminum material. But then you see him going up against Berserk and Onward, which are much better put together, and you can
Yeah.
see it was starting to struggle more.
I wonder how different Robot Wars would be if Berserk actually won the heat.
Uh, well, I'm sure 101 probably would have been a grand finalist. I don't know.
I'd be fine with Mike Franklin being a grand finalist.
Yeah, I just wonder how good like the match against Stegosaurus could have been.
I think the final would have been 101 versus Chaos 2.
Probably would have. I'm sure Chaos 2 would have still won. But,
Yeah.
eh.
Um, Firestorm.
Uh, the new Cassius.
First UDA victim.
Yeah.
Because it was the first robot that got flipped out of the arena.
Yep. And then I guess like Firestorm would get a lot of Udas itself because I think it was either the second or third robot to get two robots out in the single match as well because I know Thermidor 2 did it and apparently Dan Tom Kia did it as well, but it was off screen.
Uh, Firestorm did it in the.
Commonwealth Carnage.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It did it to Bondi Titch and Weldor 3.
Yep.
And Bondi Titch was a contest winner.
Well, you know what? He got to drive a bot for Robot Wars, and he got to live his dream. So good for him.
And hey, if you're going to lose to somebody, lose to one of the best to ever do it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Stegosaurus.
Forgotten forgotten grand finalist because it seems like it's a strong pusher, but it seems like everyone forgets that it's a grand finalist.
Yeah. Odds on extinction because I will be perfectly honest. I thought Steg 2 was the best bot the Team Jurassic Park ever did.
Steg 2 had the flipper power, but it didn't really seem to have all that great driving because with Stegosaurus, like the bot could really go fast. Sorry, my phone's going off. Please excuse me, folks. But then the Steg 2 version comes out, and it's able like they were able to get the flipper down, kind of like Chaos 2, but it seemed a lot slower.
Yeah.
And again, and like for like Series 4, like they didn't they were seeded 7 because I guess like Behemoth and Razor were finalists in the World Championship, so it just got pushed to like the 7th seeding, and people just forgot it was a grand finalist.
Yeah, Razor was the 3 seed, Behemoth was the 6 seed,
and Panic Tech was the 4th seed.
Yep.
Was former champion.
Mm-hmm. And Hypnodisc was the 2 seed.
Well, obviously they were runner-up.
Mm-hmm. Now we get to Series 4. Chaos 2.
Double champion winner.
Shouldn't have won.
Yeah. Yeah, that Stinger match will go down in Fight Court for the longest time. Because,
Yeah.
Like Stinger definitely won it on damage, but I think they gave it to Chaos 2 because I don't know, maybe probably had they said they won on control, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe when they put Stinger into Dead Metal, maybe that was what gave it the win.
Probably. Pussycat.
What's new? What's new, Pussycat? I'm trying to think. Destructive, deadly, driving.
real redemption story.
Yeah.
Because remember, they got disqualified in Series 3 because they used a illegal weapon.
Yeah, and apparently they didn't know it was shatterable, and like the rules in Series 3 were weird because I noticed that they banned like a lot of the robots had to have their saw removed because it was shatterable, because Cerberus had to have theirs removed, Prometheus had theirs removed. And then you'll see somebody like Atlas who had the same kind of disc, but it didn't really matter because they lost in the first round. But
Yeah.
I don't know, it was weird. But Series 4, I'd argue this was the most destructive robot of Series 4 behind Hypnodisc, because the damage you see it do to a lot of its opponents, to Reptyron, to Robo Chicken, Thermidor was a mess. Dominator 2 almost got their shell ripped off. This thing was a beast.
Razor. What it did to Razor.
Oh, yes. You know, some of us hold back. And I'm like, Ian, have you seen what you've done to robots in the past few series? You filled them full of hope. The damage you did to most of them was just as bad.
Yep.
Yep.
Stinger.
Stinger. Who wield terror?
Best inventive bot.
You know what Stinger always reminded me of? You remember the guy in Twisted Metal? He has those two wheels.
Axel.
As arms. Axel. That's what I think Stinger always reminded me of.
Mm-hmm.
And it was surprisingly effective. Like
Yeah.
like before the days of like Huge and Gabriel, like this was like the real all-star of the Axelbot design.
Yeah.
Just going around hitting bots with the axe, and no matter how you try to get a hold of it, it just slips away from you.
Mm-hmm. Hypnodisc.
Even more deadly.
Right, because of what happened with Splinter.
Like here you can tell like that they really ramped up the disc. Like just about every opponent up until the grand final, like huge chunks were just taken out of their bots. Like even Wild Thing they were like the only opponent to go the distance with Hypnodisc. And yet you take a look at Wild Thing, there's a huge chunk of their wedge taken out, the wheels are all messed up. Like
yeah.
This was peak Hypnodisc, this series.
The story of Nick Adams and his bots.
Mm.
Achilles heel victim. Because he got hit in the wheel, and by Pussycat, and it seized it up.
Yeah.
And it got destroyed so bad by Shun, because his axe went right through its disc and stopped it, and it moved like a good 7-8 inches, and it broke the gearbox.
Yeah, it just completely messed everything up. Like the wheels were locked up. Like people say, Shunt like axe bots are not very good. Everyone should take a look at Shunt with the Diamond Head's axe, and it just goes right through everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was crazy back then.
I think you saw it not perform as well like when we got to Series 7.
Series 6, it wasn't in Series 7.
No, I mean Shunt's axe.
Oh, that, yeah. Well, that thing was old by the time Series 7 came along.
Now we get to Series 5. Ready?
Ready.
Razor.
You did it!
It finally worked!
It finally works!
Yeah, it had won everything. It won 2 World Championships. It won the All-Stars. It won the Southern Annihilator.
It won Best Design Awards. It won a pinball at one point. But in the main competition, it would always go out in the heats. And then, and now they finally won the big one.
Yep. And we should tell everybody, this was when the weight increase happened from, was it 83 kilos to 100?
It was. I do recall it was 80, but I do see a lot. I did see a lot of overweight bots in Series 3, so I think they just kind of jiggled with the rules a bit. But now, then it was moved up to 100 kilos, 220 pounds,
Hmm.
and then yeah, and I guess that they updated Razor. They gave it a bigger wedge, so you're able to get under the opponents better, and yeah,
And
the
just upgraded
deadliest
everything.
the deadliest wedge in the game.
Hmm. Bigger Brother.
An underdog story.
Mangled Mess Success.
Yeah,
And here's the thing. It was kind of the same flipper in Series 4.
bigger.
It was made better in Series 5. What is that?
What's what?
Oh, never mind. Something popped up in there. We'll edit that out.
All right.
Uh, but what I wanted to talk about Bigger Brother is it had a shot in Series 4 because it still had the same flipper. Just it wasn't CO2 powered yet. But the flipper broke against Bulldog Breed.
It was still CO2 powered. It just didn't have all that lift to it because,
Yeah.
like, the Series 5, this 7 version, it has a lot more lift to it and a
Mm-hmm.
lot more power. You look at the Series 4 version, it just has this tiny little spike at the front. You're not going to get a whole lot of flips out of that thing.
Right.
Granted, it was able to flip over a walker twice its weight, but like when you're like even if the flipper was working against Bulldog Breed, I don't see how it could have been able to flip Bulldog over.
Mm-mm. Firestorm 3.
Ooh. Uh, um, broken, but but uh, broken but continuous. Wait a minute. Hang on. Phone's still going off. Broken but triumphant.
A vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Because because Graham Bone and Firestorm have been to 2 grand finals. They've always finished third in somewhat heartbreaking fashion. Ooted out in Series 3 and a very narrow judge's decision in Series 5.
Yeah. Because I think I think like Rays, it always has that one opponent who it can't beat, and Rays are always like they probably came the closest the closest ever came to beating Razor. Because if it had managed to get Razor into the pit, it would have been over.
Yeah. Um, 2 robots Firestorm couldn't beat.
Yeah, couldn't beat Razor.
Tornado.
Tornado. Well, it only fought Tornado once, and then it lost to Storm 2 in Series 7. But
Yeah.
Tornado just had the better ground game.
Yeah. Hypnodisc.
You blew it.
28-3. This grand final, I've talked about this in various places. I've talked about you ad infinitum. This match solidified me for Hypnodisc's legacy of failure.
Oh, dear Lord! And because we came so close to getting Razor versus Hypnodisc,
Right.
and then it ended up getting. We you know how you are familiar with Full Read, right?
Yeah.
So we. When we were doing the podcast, we have a thing called going full John Reed
Yeah.
because John Reed drove into the pit, and then your Hypnodisc ended up getting. Well, it didn't really drive into the pit. It kind of got nudged towards it, and then Bigger Brother just took advantage and pushed him right in.
Mm-hmm. If he would have just ignored Bigger Brother after all that damage, and when Bigger Brother started to go to the pit release,
Yeah,
Hypnodisc would have won.
You stay well away from that area.
Because here's the thing, and it's what pisses me off even more, because they were basically playing cat and mouse with Dominator 2 in the semis.
Yeah, because I think because they were very worried about Axis, and they just wanted to avoid it. And it's like, well, try make it a push. Well, it's clear Dominator 2 is not working right. Go ahead and push it around a little bit and play with it. Just quit sitting there, taking a powder like you're a wrestling heel or something, and actually do something.
Exactly. Series 6.
Oh, here we go. Here it comes.
Tornado.
Only 3 words can be described for this. Did not cheat.
And us as Americans, we know why. Because this was the same setup that they used for Robot Wars Extreme Warriors for the Battle of Independence.
They called it the International Championship, but it's just a War of Independence tournament. But
Yep.
yeah, but since I don't know how many people actually watched that episode because I know it was lost media for the longest time, but at the time, like everybody was power leveling. A lot of Razor fans were power leveling about this, about the cage. Now, but you can't use it. It's cheating, and it's like, well, first off, this was actually the second time they used it because, like you said, they used it in Extreme Warriors, which was in between Series 5 and 6, and which not a lot of people saw anyway. And then they used it again in the European Championship, but granted,
no, that was after Series 6, yeah.
That was after, but boy, 20 years later, the salt that is still being produced from this grand final is glorious. And honestly, I'm glad Tornado was able to come up with something to combat against Razor because, first off, if they had just gone with like the disc or the wedge again, it would have just been a repeat of the World Championship or the All-Stars final. And you need something that can finally combat Razor because at this point, Razor had beaten everybody.
Except Pussycat.
Except Pussycat, who unfortunately wasn't here this year because David Gribble sadly passed away the previous season. But yeah, this was the one thing that could easily that could have beaten Razor, and there have been variations like it over the years. Because I remember, I don't know if you've seen this match, but in BattleBots there was the Hydra anti-huge scaffolding.
Yeah.
It led to an absolutely boring ass match, but Hydra was still able to get the win because Huge couldn't do anything. And there was also the greatest weapon of all time, the Rake, which Hypershock used against the drone, and it worked. It was amazing. The Rakening is one of the greatest memes in the history of the sport.
What is the better meme for Hypershock? The Rake or the Cheshire Cat laugh? The Cheshire Cat look when it absolutely destroyed Gigabyte.
I love Will Bale's smile, but the Rake I just think is more legendary.
Firestorm 4.
Did your best. Came up short.
Always the bridesmaid.
Yeah, never the bride.
No.
It's a shame. I'm happy it wasn't as beat up as it was in Series 5, but, Tornado just had the better ground game.
Terahertz.
Going full Reed.
I can't call it going full Reed.
Well, I think, it was single-handedly beaten by Razor, but I don't know what the heck happened in that Firestorm match. The drive just stopped.
No, he had cranked it up so much that he still had control of the axe, but it knocked himself out. But let's be perfectly honest, it wasn't beating Firestorm 4 anyways.
I think it might have, because it was getting a lot of hits on Firestorm. But that's really the reason it lost, was I think the speed controllers broke or something. There you go.
And we would see an improved Terahertz in Extreme, where it went for the challenge belt.
Yeah, I'm disappointed it lost at the end, because it was a beast in that thing.
It probably shouldn't have even gotten to Tornado because of what happened with Shunt.
Maybe.
How do you think?
I think Andrew Marchant said in an interview he lost to Dan Tomkia in a live event, so maybe DTK would have had a better matchup. I don't know.
He actually said it in the semifinals of the Sum Fours
Yeah,
because Gravity just chucked out Dan Tomka in 6 seconds, which was the then Robot Wars record.
yeah.
And Andrew Marchand said, yeah, he frequently gets underneath us.
Yeah.
Even with their... Because what they went for was the scoop flail.
Yeah, and it's not Tornado's not that effective when it's inverted. That's why they lost to Bigger Brother in the All Stars.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think Dan Tom Kia would have put on a better fight.
Mm-hmm. I had for Terahert's best redemption story because
Yeah.
it never made a Heat final. Not even in Series 2. Because in Series 2, lost in the semis. Series 3 drove itself into the pit in round 1. Where if it didn't, I think it wins its Heat.
Yeah, probably.
Series 4, something broke on it, and
it just kind of died.
And then the wall came down.
It got hit by Fluffy.
No, what I mean by the wall coming down is the rule was made where if your robot's in Robot Wars, that robot cannot be in BattleBots.
Oh yeah, that yeah. Because there was a contract negotiation where Robot Wars bots can't be in BattleBots and vice versa, and that's why they had all entire bots put together. Because John Reed built Beta, the Razor team built Warhead, the Mortis team. I don't know what the heck Rob Knight put together for the reboot. It was like some kind of mechanoid thing with all these wires and everything. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, it's unique, but wouldn't you be better off like building a new variation of Mortis or something? I don't know.
Mm. And John Reed had success with Beta.
Yeah, I'm glad he was able to come back in the reboot, and he got some good hits.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Very, very clever good driving against Nightmare.
Yep.
And a real touch-and-go match against Tombstone in the semis.
Yeah, I think if their axe didn't break, it probably could have beaten Tombstone, but it wasn't to be.
If that happens, I think we have Beta winning it, because I did not see Bombshell winning at all.
Nah. But funny enough, the next version of Bombshell actually beat Tombstone in the next series.
After going 0-4.
That's... How do you even describe that? That's... It's failing successfully.
That's because a chain off a Bombshell got stuck under Tombstone.
I don't think it was the chain. It was... Well... I think that was Tombstone's chain. I don't know. Hey, funny things happen.
Here we go. The last series of the original Robot Wars. Series 7.
Here we go.
Typhoon 2.
To speed.
I have a really good answer for this.
Okay.
Should have lost Melee.
Yeah, because I know Bigger Brother was just playing with the bots, and I think because I know Refbot was because Bigger Brother flipped them over in the first round after they took out their other two opponents, and then right when Refbot was kenning out Colossus, they just flipped them back over, and it was weird.
Yep, because here's my thinking. I'm looking at the other bots, so it would have been URO was counted out second.
Yeah.
So it would have been URO versus Hammerhead.
Yeah.
Which would have been whatever.
Yeah.
I think Hammerhead wins it.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh God. I just created the worst final ever. Worst Heat final ever.
Oh.
Iron Awe versus Hammerhead.
Iron, like you take a look, like if you've seen like the latest versions, like
Yeah.
they're beasts, but
Hmm.
this version's whatever. But yeah, I am kind of happy Typhoon did go through because that match against Iron was pretty crazy.
Hmm. And then it destroyed Hammerhead, destroyed Iron Awe, destroyed Typhoon 2. I mean, destroyed Thermidor 2 in one hit.
And it knocked out Atomic.
It
Well,
no, it
Atomic knocked itself,
right
and then
because
and,
it
and
got
then
hooked
then
on
it
that
stopped.
ankle grinder.
And then it gave it a concerto.
Yep. Storm 2.
Oh, I've got three words for this: big producer interference.
Should be champion.
Yeah,
Became world champion. Should have won the UK
it did.
championship though.
Yeah.
I had an alternate 3 words for this.
Okay.
And this was Jonathan Pierce's call. Crumpled out gone!
Yeah.
When it didn't even use its lifter.
Yeah, in the Firestorm match.
No, Steel Avenger.
Oh, that. Yeah, that too.
Because it rammed Steel Avenger from one end of the arena to the other. And it just off.
Yeah, it got an Uda. It used blunt force to get an Uda.
Yeah.
It was really awesome.
We've never seen that before. And something we'll never see again.
I have actually seen it a few times. There was an old featherweight matchup at the Roaming Robots event.
Yeah.
There was a robot called Pillow Torque that charged an opponent, rammed it into the wall so hard it flew right over the rail.
Was that made by the same person who did like All Torque, Small Torque? Not him.
No, it was a completely different team. I'm sure there was an inspiration, but it wasn't the same bot.
Yeah.
I say producer interference because
Yeah.
it really bugs me why the producers wanted to get Storm 2 to lose. And meanwhile, you'd rather have like Tornado into the next round, and it's like, because you look at Tornado. Tornado is basically the same bot. Like, sure that they have like new weapons like the chain flail or the disc or whatever, but it didn't really use it much because I
No.
barely saw the chain flail really do a whole lot. Like, like somebody said they were able to rip Gravity's wheels, but I don't know.
It wasn't by the flail, it was by the spikes on the side of on the corners of Tornado on the front.
Yeah. I wish I could do an interview with Andrew Marchant and try and figure out how that chain flail works, though. Like I've seen chainsaws before, but I haven't seen anything like that.
My theory on that, it was just a little fun thing just so it could say, hey, it's an active weapon.
There you go.
And they could still use their best weapon, which was the scoop.
Yeah. There was I'm at the Norwalk Havoc NHRL events, and one of the big winners of the event was called Full Court. It's a giant, like, long wedge, and its active weapons are just like these little hands on the sides that are supposed to act like grabbers, but they don't really do anything. But oh,
So it's like Smee.
It's basically like big Smee, like an even bigger Smee.
And I'm trying to think how you defeat something like that, and my only answer is just it's got to be a flipper.
I've fought Smee a few times, and really the key to beating him is you have to just keep going forward into him, make sure he doesn't get behind you, and just pray that you're able to get around him and hit his wheels.
Tornado.
Slight, now with weapons?
Outclassed by successor.
Yeah.
Because Brian Gamble did all the speed controllers and stuff for Storm 2.
It's cool seeing, like, there were some dream matches I've always wanted to see with Tornado, like, Panzer in the World Championship, I think if it was a one-on-one, they could have really had a good back and forth.
Thanks a lot, Flippa.
Bloody Belgians!
Mm-hmm.
And then the match they had with Storm 2 was also really good, but yeah, once they were flipped over, they couldn't use their weapon. They were kind of screwed. They almost, the producers almost helped them with that little pit trick they did in the grand final, but no, didn't help them.
Exterminator.
Woo! Mother of glow-ups.
My boys! My boys! I love Exterminator.
I love this version too.
No, I mean all throughout I love Exterminator. They're one of my favorite teams.
Yeah. It definitely really is a glow up, because you look at like the series 3 version's pretty good. It's got like the axe wedge combo where they can just grab on and push them around. I don't know what the heck they were thinking with the series 4 axe, because it doesn't hit anything. And then
Marlon Pritchard said it didn't hit anything. He wasn't going to talk about it. That's why after the semifinals, the Heat semifinals, it just stuck with the flipper.
Yeah.
And beat Bam off.
Yep. And then for some reason they brought it back for the Tag Team Terror, and again it didn't do anything.
And then the Series 5 and 6 spots were fine, just something went wrong with Exterminator.
It lost to they lost to Corkscrew in Series 5.
Here's the hilarious thing would have happened. If they had beat Corkscrew, it would have lost to the same opponent in Series 5 and 6.
Really?
Firestorm. Yeah. Because Firestorm beat Corkscrew in the semis.
They lost to Dominator. Wait a minute. Corkscrew lost to Dominator 2 was in the Heat Final Series 5.
Okay, so it was Dominator 2.
Yeah, and then they lost to Firestorm in Series 6.
Yeah, it would have been a battle of the axes, but I do think Dominator 2 beats Exterminator.
Yeah, I think Dominator 2 is a bit more put together than Exterminator.
Series 5 Exterminator.
Yeah. And then they came out with the Series 7 version, and holy macaroni, do I... Like, I'm a big fan of vertical spinners. They're good at just ripping bots up. You're able to get some spins out of the arena, as they're known as that we call them Sudas. And hey, if you can get a really good bot that can get some Sudas and cause some real damage, like, they built a real monster with this thing.
They got 2 Sudas, Killer Carrot and Tsunami.
Yeah.
Should have had 3.
Yeah, I think that's what they were trying to do with Bulldog Breed.
Yeah.
At it.
And instead it just destroyed it.
Yeah.
And then Karma happened.
Yeah, Typhoon. What are you going to do?
No, not only Typhoon.
Oh, yeah, Matilda.
Matilda got its hands on it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you because, like, I know Matilda was known for getting some Sudas. It's not the first robot to get a Suda, because Cyclone from Extreme Warrior Season 2 got a couple.
Yep.
Granted, one of their opponents was a middleweight, but still counts.
It's Annihilator. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you get annihilated. Even if you enter if you're going to enter a shoebox into an Annihilator with a bunch of vertical spinners, you know what's going to happen.
Yep. Anyway, that is going to do it.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for doing this. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I always have fun doing this collabs. And I think next time, because I think I suggested this, but maybe we should cover the Nickelodeon Robot Wars series.
AKA, how the hell did Ming 3 get a trophy?
Oh, we'll have some ranting to do.
Yeah.
We'll get around to it.
If I can find the time.
Yeah, well.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for watching this fun video. For Hardcore Dude, who has youtube.com/Hardcore Dude.
And Headbanger142. Link in the description.
I'll put it there.
Okay.
I am Cindy Seidelman, and we'll see you next time when we review Robot Wars. Bye-bye.
Until next time, fight on!
Thanks, Mick.